Ooh, welcome back to What the Football?
What the football?
What the Football?
There it is.
I'm your host, Caleb Regler, along with,
Your co-host Teague Morosky.
and as we said, welcome to What the Football. If you're new here, go ahead and click the like button, click the subscribe button.
You got it. I don't know where it is.
And then comment down all there. So
it's
if the like
really
button
creepy motion.
subscribe button's right here, the comments are way under.
I just prefer you didn't point that aggressively towards that area again. But let's move on from that.
Okay. So today's gonna be a short video and kind of what we're gonna make our main style here, at least in the off season. Just short videos. They could be anywhere from 3 minutes to 5 minutes to 8 minutes, wherever. Pretty much just
Nice.
Short episodes. They only have to be 3, 5, or 8 minutes long, though.
Yeah, but if it can't be less than 3 or more than 8, and it can't be 6 or 4.
Nope.
So
don't forget 7. You're leaving 7 out of this.
Seven's up for debate still.
Okay, we'll figure that one out. But it's just going to be these shorter kind of episodes where we have one, maybe two questions that we debate on. And hopefully let us know if you guys like this style better. If you guys like the hour to an hour and a half style better, I promise you won't. So at least for the time being, this will be the kind of style here we have.
And I'll say maybe what we can gear towards even is our YouTube stuff is strictly these short videos, but then maybe when we figure out how to get to the point where we can upload to Apple Podcasts and Spotify again, we can do those hour-long things that you can listen to in the car while you're driving, so you don't have to sit down and watch it. Whereas YouTube, you don't want to be sitting here for an hour and a half looking at our faces. Trust me, we get that. So we want to gear that towards, just a short little debate, something that you see on Sports Center or something, of just a quick little conversation.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, let's get right into it. Our debate question today is, what is better to have on your team? A great offense or a great defense?
Great question. Great question. I'll take full credit for this question. I would just to lead this off, I mean, I would say my answer has changed. If I were to answer this 15 years ago, I'd have a different answer.
Yep.
But great offense. Great offense is more important than a great defense now.
And your reasoning?
Well, I mean, just based off the fact, think about how many offensive coaches there are now in the league. Defensive coaches are becoming a rarity.
Yeah.
And I pulled up a list of all the past, few Super Bowl winners. It's few and far between where you can find a team. There are teams that have great defenses, the Rams of this past year, Tampa Bay 2 years ago, but there's not a team that doesn't have a great offense that's in these Super Bowls. There are teams with not great defenses that are in these Super Bowls. That's why I drew
me through like the past couple Super Bowls.
Would you have called the Bengals a great defense?
No.
Would you have called Kansas City a great defense 2 years ago?
No.
Kansas City even 3 years ago?
No.
And then obviously you have New England and the Rams. That was probably I'm discounting that as a Super Bowl as itself because it shouldn't have been watched by anyone.
Both had great defenses though.
Yeah, sure. And then you go back to Philadelphia and New England. Philadelphia didn't have a great defense. It was 41-33. Defense didn't matter in that game.
Yeah.
New England, Atlanta didn't have a great defense.
No.
Just keep going back, and the more and more you see is that what most teams have in common are great offenses and not always great defenses. And the great defense doesn't always win. Take Kansas City, San Francisco, for example.
Yep.
Kansas City had a great offense, not a great defense. San Francisco's best part of their team was a great defense. Kansas City won that game. And obviously you can pick and choose your moments. But in my mind, you're not making the Super Bowl if you don't have a great offense.
Fair enough. I will say, and obviously this is a debate. It's why it is a debate. Shout out our most recent episode, the After Hours special. Apparently, and I did not realize this, I said that way too many times.
And it's so many times at the end of that video. We were sipping on a few, so I can understand why it got into your head a little bit.
I like that quote. We were sipping on a few. Yeah, I think it's more important to have a great defense. I mean, you look at past Super Bowl winners, and even in the last, I know you just said 2 years. Yeah, you have great defenses. You also have great offenses. To be fair, yes. A lot of those teams that you mentioned, that did they have great offenses? No. Atlanta, Cincinnati, Kansas City 2 years ago.
You mean great defenses?
That you said had great offenses but not great defenses. Yes.
Yeah.
They didn't win. They did not win. Yes, they got to the Super Bowl fair and square, but they didn't win those Super Bowls. Also, the reason why I think it's much more important to have a great defense than to have a great offense is that on defense, you can both defend, you can stop the team from scoring, and you can also score on defense. You can't stop the other team from scoring on offense. You can only put up points or not.
What's the old saying? The best defense is a great offense.
The best offense is a great defense, is the old saying.
Well, here's I mean, that's
the old saying
point.
Is also offense sells tickets, defense wins championships.
I mean, I think that is the old saying for a reason. The rules have even changed to benefit the offense now. There's just, in my eyes, while I think obviously it's super important to have both.
Yeah,
but
of course
you can't just have a great defense. We see it with the Steelers the past 2 years. They have arguably the best defense in the league. They can't get out of the first round.
Correct.
Because they can't compete with these teams with the high explosive offenses.
Yeah.
You have a great offense, you can keep teams off the field. At that point, it doesn't matter. Obviously, in the Super Bowl, everything changes, and
of course there's outliers to both of our arguments. I mean,
of course,
you have like the Ravens, where I'm going back. I'm trying to think of more recent examples. But this is obviously not a super, I'm not making a case for my point here. I'm just saying this is a time in history where this happened. Think of like the 2000 Ravens. They had Trent Dilfer as their starting quarterback. Not a good offense, but they had a dominating defense. Obviously, the league has changed much more to an offense.
And that's why I said back in those days, I would have said a great defense is more important.
Yeah. And I think that we are trending towards that being more equal. But I mean, with the whole overtime rule getting changed and rules being made in place for the past few years to benefit offenses, is because defenses, if you have a good defense, you have a great defense, it's hard to stop. And it's hard to get past them. That's why I think all these rules are being made, because they need to benefit offenses to make the game a little bit more even for those offense heavy teams.
Well, no doubt. Yeah, I do think that the league is gearing more towards the offense. People like to watch offense more. A more casual football fan is going to want to watch a high scoring game than a low scoring game. So obviously the NFL wants that. And that's why I think the answer to this question, what is more important in the league right now and going forward, is having a great offense over having a great defense.
To win games, not just to put get your casual viewer.
Not just to get ticket sales. Yes, to win games in this league. Just based off what I've seen the last few years of what teams in general are the most successful are teams who have great offenses, whether or not they have great defenses. The Bengals and the Rams both have great offenses. Only one has a great defense. They were both in the Super Bowl. Obviously, the great defense won, but they both have great offenses. You're not going to see a matchup of great defenses and no great offenses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as recently as this year, I mean, you have the Bengals, who had just made an incredibly just Cinderella story. No one thought they were going to ever make it. And just based off on paper, they weren't supposed to be in the Super Bowl, and they didn't have a great defense. They did have a great offense. I think they're an outlier there. And I mean, with everyone's collective thoughts, the general public thinking that they weren't going to, the experts thinking they weren't going to make it to the playoffs, much less the Super Bowl, pulling a homer card here. The Chargers had a great offense this year. They didn't have a good defense.
Yeah.
And they didn't make the playoffs.
Well, Panthers had a great defense this year.
I don't know if I would say the Panthers had a great defense this
year.
year.
For the first part of the year, we had a great defense, let's say. But I mean, you can pick and choose. The Colts had a great defense.
Yeah.
Didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah. And obviously there's I think when you get to a point where you have a great side of the ball and the other side of the ball is so debilitating to that other side of the ball, that's good, that's great, or
Yeah,
it just completely nullifies it. Like you have
exactly.
the Colts' offense was just so bad, especially in the latter half of the season, that they completely folded, didn't make the playoffs. The Chargers defense was just phenomenally bad that it hindered the great offense from doing anything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at the playoff teams this past year.
Yeah.
And the teams that advance in particular from the first round. Yeah, the Patriots and the Bills. Patriots don't have a great offense. Bills do have a great defense, granted, but they also have a great offense. They advance. You have the Steelers and the Chiefs. Chiefs advance. You have the Raiders, who made the playoffs, who don't have a great defense, great offense. Bengals advance. Then you had the Bengals, Titans, two great offenses, or, Titans were just a weird team this year, but not a great defense, certainly.
Yeah.
Bengals advance. You have the Chiefs and the Bills. Bills have a better defense. Chiefs advance. I don't know. Just in my eyes, what is more important to a team success? And obviously, within the Super Bowl, both teams are going to be great.
Of course.
But what will get you there is a great offense, not a great defense.
Yeah. I like this stat here from Sports Illustrated. Since 2013, all Super Bowl champions have ranked in the top 10 in scoring defense.
Okay. While I don't think we can discount that stat,
Yeah.
I will say scoring defense, it's a lot of defensive stats are honestly eye test.
Of course.
Like if they're saying the Chiefs were in 2020 or 2019, 2020,
Sure.
I guess technically they were, but I wouldn't have looked at them and said, "Oh, that's a top 10 defense in the league." You know.
No.
Same with scoring offenses. Like I don't think just because you're a top 10, like those kind of stats are great to look at on a general basis, but
of course,
it's a little iffy on very specific scoring defense because I want to see whatever the yards, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, I will agree with you. I mean, having a great offense is definitely more fun to watch. I mean, you think of fun to watch teams in the league. Who do you think of? Think of the Chiefs? You think of the Chargers? You think of the Chargers were a fun team to watch because they were in every single game, no matter who they played.
The Bengals.
Herbert always put on a show.
Think of the Bengals.
The Bengals.
The Rams.
Yeah. I mean, all great offenses. But we look at those four teams who had a great defense. The Rams did. And they went on to win the Super Bowl.
Well, we can also say we just look at those teams and then you just see the Chiefs and the Bengals were both in the championship.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a debate that could go on for hours.
Of course. But we're making this a shorter one. How did it still somehow go long?
I don't know. I don't think it went super long. What are we at?
I'm just seeing that it's at 17:50. But I mean, we were talking for a little bit before that.
I don't think this went on for like what you're saying. This went on for 15 minutes. I highly doubt it. But I'm probably wrong. Let us know in the comments what you think is better, great offense or great defense, or great special teams.
And if you do say that, you should probably unsubscribe from this.
If you do say that
channel,
you saw the Chargers play in the 2010 season where you had the number one in both,
guys,
and then you'd miss the playoffs. Anyway, let us know in the comments. Great offense, great defense. Also, let us know in the comments what question we should respond to next.
Please, guys, we need your help.
We will talk to our social media manager, Marcus Barkus. That's his new name. And we're going to try to get him to post, just think of this now, questions that you should ask us. Post on our story. Go ahead and respond on Instagram whenever that's up. Go ahead on TikTok, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and most importantly, subscribe to us on YouTube. Yeah, it's a weird, this is like a weird, I feel like there's so much more to talk about.
It's emptiness.
It is.
It'd probably be good to have someone moderate us so we have a good way to end it, instead of just someone having to be like, okay, I agree.
I think so. Anyway, ending it off on just comment below what you
do
think,
all the things,
questions, content that you want us to do, more of these debates, draft content, go back to old school, do some quizzes. Who knows? Classic quizzes. Season 1, I was the champ. Season 2, Teague was the champ. So we might have to settle the tiebreaker, see who's the champ in season 3. But anyway, with that being said,
I love you
yeah,
guys.
this has been what the football?
What the football?
What the football?
And there it is.